Good morning. My name is Brian Fehr. Welcome to Central National Bank's presentation on gaining financial independence and estate planning. Joining me this morning is Stuart Wells. He's also a trust officer and a registered investment advisor at CFP. And this morning we're just going to talk to you a little bit about the do's and don'ts of financial planning and estate planning. Quickly, just a little bit about myself. Spent about half my life in Kansas, about half in Nebraska, and moved back here about 5 years ago. Been with the bank ever since, and happy to be back. Stuart, if you want to just talk
Sure.
a little bit about yourself for just a minute.
Yeah, my name is Stuart Wells. I'm a certified financial planner. I've been working with the bank for a little over a year now. Came to the bank via TIAA, USAA, and Vanguard. So I've got a lot of knowledge in a lot of products. But it's not about the product knowledge as much as it is the habits that you form. And that's what we're going to talk a lot about today. So,
Very good. With everything, we got to go over the disclosures. Knowledge is obviously a wonderful thing, but you got to make sure you have it in the right capacity. So all of the information that we're going over today is general in nature. So seek us out or work with your accountant, your attorney, your own investment advisor. We're not giving any recommendations. All the information here is general in nature only. Also, just to give you a little background on where I'm coming from on things, I've done a lot of studying of a lot of the great minds, Dave Ramsey, John Bogle, a lot of the other financial planning books. And so, a lot of the advice that I give regarding money is Christian based. And so the reason I kind of got into financial planning is that it's the second most mentioned topic in the Bible. It's mentioned over 800 times and in 2,300 verses. And you're going to hear quite frequently that money is the root of all evil. Is kind of a common thing that you'll hear people say. But actually, in all truth, money is an amoral object. It's like a brick. I can throw a brick through a window and cause harm to someone. I can also use it to build things like a children's hospital, a women's shelter, a community center. So it's what you do with the object is what makes it what it is. So that's why money is really important to me, and so that's kind of why I chose to get into the field of profession that I have. So just kind of try to really simplify things for everybody. So, the first thing you want to do when developing a financial plan is establish a rainy day fund. So if you have, consider what we would consider consumer debt, which is like non-mortgage debt. I recommend that you start a starter emergency fund, which is $1,000 emergency fund, or maybe a 1 to 2, or $1,000 per person in your household. So if you got 3 or 4 people in your household, maybe $3,000 or $4,000 in an emergency fund. It's not a long-term thing. That's not nearly enough to be a long-term solution. But while you're paying off maybe credit card debt, car loans, that type of thing, this will get you by for the time being, so you don't have to use a lot of other debt sources for that type of thing. One of the other things you want to think about is an emergency fund. People are always kind of looking for the next best interest rate on deposit accounts and that type of thing. I wouldn't really spend a whole lot of time on that, because if you've got $10,000 in it and you spend half your time looking to get 0.5% better, it ain't that big a deal. And also, you're obviously going to be able to do better in the market with your money over the long term, but you want that money readily available, so when transmission of your car goes out or the water heater blows up, you can just write a check for it and be done with it. And so,
well, and I want to add something here too. We talked about changing habits, and in order to get that emergency fund, you have to get into the habit of paying yourself. If you don't pay yourself with every paycheck, you're not going to be able to save. And that's really the habit you have to start with, is how can I build up a reserve? And $1,000 to some people is astronomical and hard to come by. And I understand, because I was in college once, and a poor college kid with a wife and kids, and we were trying to get through school, and we were going by the skin of our teeth. But I can promise you that if you do that, if you follow that principle, and you pay yourself a little bit every paycheck and make sure it goes into a savings account, that over time you'll see that small habit that you start turns into a very powerful habit down the road.